Hi, I'm Kevin. This is my wife, Shellie. We've been discussing and going back in time, thinking about what Evangel has meant to us throughout our lives. And the interesting part about this is Evangel was part of our marriage before we were married and before we knew what Evangel was. We were meeting with Shellie's grandfather, Pastor Walt Weinbrenner, doing our pre-marriage counseling. And during one of our last events with him, he goes, "Where are you guys moving once you get married?" And I said, "We're moving up to Houghton as I finish up my college career at Michigan Tech."
Grandpa then followed up with, "Great, I have your church picked out for you." Great, Grandpa has our church picked out for us.
So Grandpa Weinbrenner went to seminary with Pastor Steve's dad. And so that connection brought us to Evangel. And so part of that also, then we moved to Houghton and participated with Evangel into the college ministry. And even back in those days, Evangel was busting at the seams with new people and new opportunities, and there already wasn't room for everyone at Evangel. So the college class, we met in the basement of the Memorial Union building for a long, long time.
We did. And there were donuts.
I don't know if there was coffee.
I don't know that there was coffee.
I don't think there was coffee.
But we used to bring the donuts, the leftover donuts in for the kids. That was fun.
Yeah. So I finished up my time at Michigan Tech, and then we moved off to explore new opportunities as real adults in the working community.
Right.
And we brought Evangel with us. Jill Johnson suggested to us a church in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, and we followed her lead based on where Evangel was leading us. And so we spent 2 solid, fun years in Wisconsin exploring the community of Wisconsin, and then our life changed again.
It did, and then we continued on our Lake Michigan circle tour of life, and we moved to Charlotte, Michigan, and we get there, and they are going through a new pastor, and we're like, how do we do this? We're used to my grandpa forever, and then and being here, and Pastor Steve was very here and solid, and then we move to a new place, and we're like, what's this all about? How do you change over leadership at a church? And so we were able to go through that process and picking a new pastor. And while we were there, we also find out later that there's Evangel ties to that particular church in Charlotte too.
Yeah, so the church we attended, they had gone through capital campaigns and had built this big new beautiful building. And the very first marriage ceremony ever held at this church was this young couple named Carla and Fraser Strome. And so they were the first wedding at this church that we attended. And so that again was Evangel in our lives. And then after our time downstate, as Shellie said, we completed our circle tour of Michigan and Lake Michigan, and we ended up back in Houghton.
We did.
And we show up at Evangel again. It was our church family that we grew up with, and it's the church family that we've stayed with.
Yeah, it was great when we came back to Evangel the second time. Many of the people who had started or who were in our college group had either stayed or they had left and come back. And it was like coming home, which was something that we really needed at that point in time, was the ability to come home. And we were immediately welcomed. We were immediately plugged into a small group, and it was all because we had already made relationships with these people 10 years ago. And so it was really great to be able to come back to that.
And as we have grown and we have grown up our family here, our boys are connected with the church, with the local community, and we are just blessed to be able to share this with everyone and are excited to see Evangel grow. This new facility we're in right now is amazing, and we're really excited to see what happens to phase 2 as we adventure on the other side of the wall.
So a couple of weeks ago in our high school Sunday school class, we were talking to the students about Queen Esther. And one of the parts of that story is that Mordecai was telling Esther that this might be what you were placed here for. You may be here for such a time as this. And this is our time at Evangel. As we look to the future, leaving a legacy, seeking the lost in this community, this is our time. And we ask you to seriously think and consider about what it is. God, what part do you want me to play in the accomplishment of this vision? Now is the time for us to dream a little bit about what it is that we can do, what it is that we want to do. And as a group, and keep just trying new things and see if we can get people in the door long enough for God to grab a hold of their hearts.
And we know this is a God thing, and we're here to help share that good news with the community and explore it and find what people are missing in their lives without Jesus in their lives, and opening those doors to make it accessible and inviting for them. Well, thank you so much for listening to our story today. And part of the Lifeful Living campaign is we want everyone connected to Evangel to wrestle with one simple question, carefully considering pursuing the Lord, seeking the lost, and leaving a legacy, and asking God, what part do you want me to play in the accomplishment of this vision? If every person will do this and follow whatever God leads them, Lifeful Living will be a success.